What if the next version of AI doesn't wait for humans to make it smarter? It just does it itself overnight, without asking, without stopping. And what if that process has already begun? That is not a hypothetical. That is the stated mission of a company that just walked out of the shadows with $650 million and a goal that has made AI researchers both excited and terrified for decades. Meet Recursive Superintelligence, a San Francisco startup that emerged from stealth this week, founded by Richard Socher, the man behind U.com and a key figure in the ImageNet research that quietly laid the foundation for modern AI as we know it. He's joined by Peter Norvig, one of the most respected names in the entire history of artificial intelligence, and a team of researchers who have spent the last decade publishing papers on the exact problem they are now being paid to solve. $650 million for one goal. Build an AI that can improve itself autonomously, recursively, without human involvement forever. But here's what most people are missing about what that actually means.
This isn't about making AI smarter in the way we normally talk about it. This isn't more data, bigger models, faster chips. What Socher and his team are building is something categorically different. An AI that can look at itself, identify its own weaknesses, redesign its own architecture, test the new version, and repeat that cycle millions of times without a single human in the loop. The entire process of having a research idea, implementing it, and validating whether it worked, fully automated. AI doing AI research on itself at scale. They call it open-endedness, and the analogy Socher uses should stop you cold. Think about biological evolution. Animals adapt to their environment. Other animals counter-adapt. That process has been running for billions of years, and it produced eyes, language, and human intelligence. Nobody designed it, nobody supervised it. It just kept going, endlessly generating complexity from competition. Now imagine that same process, but running inside a computer at digital speed, with no biological constraints and no upper limit on how intelligent the output can become. That is what they are building. And they already have a working example of the principle.
One of their co-founders, Tim Rockteschel, developed something called rainbow teaming at Google DeepMind. Take one AI and assign a second AI the sole job of trying to break the first one, finding every possible way to make it say something dangerous, wrong, or harmful. They attack each other, back and forth, millions of iterations, each one finding new angles the other hadn't considered. The first AI gets inoculated against every attack. It becomes stronger not because a human trained it to be stronger, but because the competition forced it to be. This technique is now used inside every major AI lab on Earth. It was one paper from one researcher who now works at Recursive Superintelligence. And here is the implication that should make you pause. If this works, if they actually achieve recursive self-improvement at scale, then the variable that determines how fast AI advances stops being human ingenuity. It stops being research talent or breakthrough ideas or scientific intuition. It becomes one thing and one thing only: compute, raw processing power. Whoever can throw the most computational resources at the system wins, not because their researchers are smarter, but because their machine runs faster. And a faster machine becomes a smarter machine, which becomes a faster researcher, which becomes a smarter machine again. The loop closes and it doesn't stop.
Socher himself said it plainly. In the future, the most important question humanity will face is not a scientific question. It is a resource allocation question. We have this cancer. We have that virus. We have this climate problem. How much compute do you want to give each one? Which problem does humanity solve first? That is not the language of a startup founder talking about a product roadmap. That is the language of someone describing a future where artificial intelligence becomes the most powerful decision-making force on Earth. And the only debate left is what we pointed at. Products are coming, Socher says. Quarters, not years. The machine is already learning. The only question left, and it's one nobody has a clean answer to, is who decides what it learns next. If that question unsettles you, it should. This is AI Pulse, where we track the AI developments that will define the next decade before the headlines catch up. Subscribe, because the next story we're covering will make this one look like the beginning of something much, much larger. And it is.